Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt like something or someone was watching back? Throughout history, people from all over the world have reported strange lights, massive crafts, and eerie encounters that defy explanation. Some say it's military technology, others believe it's something far more mysterious. But what if the truth is even stranger? Today, we're diving into 7 chilling UFO sightings that remain completely unexplained. And trust me, you won't look at the sky the same way again. The Hudson Valley Wave. Picture this. It's a quiet evening in the Hudson Valley, New York. You're relaxing on your porch, gazing up at the night sky, when suddenly, a massive V-shaped formation of glowing lights glides silently overhead. No engine noise, no rush of wind, just an eerie silence as the lights hover, shift, and then vanish into the darkness. Now imagine this happening thousands of times over the course of 4 years. Between 1982 and 1986, more than 5,000 people across New York's Hudson Valley reported witnessing enormous, structured craft flying low and slow over homes, highways, and fields. Some described it as a floating city of lights, others as a boomerang-shaped craft pulsating in eerie reds, blues, and whites. On March 24, 1983, one of the most famous mass sightings occurred when hundreds of people spotted a UFO so large, it covered the entire sky. Authorities scrambled for explanations, suggesting it could be a squadron of small planes flying in formation. But those who saw it up close weren't buying it. Witnesses described a solid object, not individual aircraft. And how do you explain the way it hovered motionless for minutes before suddenly accelerating out of sight at impossible speeds? To this day, the Hudson Valley Wave remains one of the most well-documented and chilling UFO flaps in history. Was it secret military technology? A well-orchestrated hoax, or something not of this world? No one knows. And that's the scariest part. The Shag Harbour Incident. Imagine a quiet fishing village in Nova Scotia, where the biggest concerns are the tides and the daily catch. Now, imagine that peace being shattered when a glowing object streaks across the night sky and crashes into the icy Atlantic waters. That's exactly what happened on October 4, 1967, in the town of Shag Harbour, a night that would go down in history as Canada's most baffling UFO mystery. It all began just after 11 p.m., when multiple eyewitnesses, including fishermen, airline pilots, and even the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, reported a large, illuminated object plunging into the water. A loud whistling sound was followed by a thunderous boom, and then, silence. What was left was a glowing yellow foam floating on the water's surface. Authorities acted fast, launching a full-scale rescue operation assuming a plane had crashed, but after days of searching, no wreckage, no bodies, nothing was ever found. Sonar scans revealed an unidentified object sitting on the ocean floor, but before it could be properly investigated, it vanished without a trace. The Canadian government officially classified the event as a UFO crash, making it one of the only documented cases where authorities acknowledged an unidentified flying object went down. No logical explanation was ever given. No missing planes, no military operations, nothing. So what really crashed into Shag Harbour that night? A secret experiment, an alien craft, or something far stranger lurking beneath the waves? To this day, the mystery remains unsolved. The Westall Encounter, 1966. Imagine you're in school, sitting through another dull lesson, when suddenly, a shadow passes over the classroom window. Students and teachers rush outside, shielding their eyes from the midday sun, and then they see it. A silvery, disc-shaped object hovering just beyond the schoolyard, gliding silently above the open fields. Then, without warning, it dips, lands, and sits motionless. This isn't a scene from a sci-fi movie. This actually happened on April 6, 1966, at Westall High School in Melbourne, Australia. More than 200 students and faculty stood frozen in shock as a metallic craft, roughly the size of 2 cars, descended into a nearby paddock. A few brave students sprinted toward it, but before they could get close, it suddenly shot back into the sky at an impossible speed, disappearing into the distance. As if that wasn't strange enough, military personnel and government officials arrived within hours, quickly cordoning off the area. Students were interrogated, teachers were silenced, and the entire event was swiftly buried. Witnesses were warned never to speak of what they saw, with some even claiming that their statements were forcibly changed. No official explanation has ever been given. No weather balloons, no experimental aircraft, nothing. Yet those who were there never forgot what they saw. Over 5 decades later, former students and teachers still recall the unearthly craft with absolute certainty. What landed near Westall High School that day? A military test? A case of mass hysteria? Or did hundreds of schoolchildren witness something truly out of this world? Whatever the truth is, someone doesn't want us to know. The Rendlesham Forest Incident. It was Christmas night 1980, at a US military base in England when something unimaginable happened. The air was still, the forest was silent, and then, strange lights began flickering between the trees. What followed remains one of the most bizarre and chilling UFO encounters in military history. Just after midnight on December 26, U.S. Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge spotted a glowing object descending into the dense trees of Rendlesham Forest. Thinking it might be a downed aircraft, a security team was sent to investigate, but what they found was nothing human-made. As they approached, they saw a metallic triangular craft hovering above the ground, its surface covered in strange hieroglyph-like symbols. It emitted a pulsing light, casting eerie shadows through the trees. One officer, Sergeant Jim Peniston, claimed he touched the craft, feeling a charged energy vibrating through it. And then, it was gone, vanishing into the night sky at an impossible speed. But the nightmare wasn't over. The following night, the lights returned. This time, multiple high-ranking officers, including Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, witnessed red orbs darting through the sky and a beam of light being directed down to the base. Even their radio communications mysteriously cut out. The British Ministry of Defense dismissed the event as misidentified lights or a meteor, but the witness reports, audio recordings, and physical evidence tell a different story. Why was the military so quick to cover it up? And what was that craft doing in Rendlesham Forest that night? Over 40 years later, the Rendlesham Forest incident remains one of the most chilling and well-documented UFO encounters ever recorded. The Phoenix Lights. Imagine stepping outside on a warm Arizona night, expecting to see the usual twinkling stars. But instead you see a massive, silent formation of lights slowly gliding across the sky. No sound, no explanation, just an enormous V-shaped craft, blocking out the stars as it moves over the city. This wasn't the imagination of one or two people. This was witnessed by thousands across Arizona, Nevada, and even parts of Mexico on March 13, 1997. People described the object as a mile wide, moving in perfect formation, defying everything we know about aviation. Some said it was so low they could see the structure between the lights, confirming it wasn't just a formation of separate aircraft. For 3 full hours, the mysterious lights hovered, drifted, and then vanished. Calls flooded police stations, news outlets, and even military bases, but no one had an answer. The U.S. Air Force later claimed the lights were just military flares dropped during a training exercise, but that explanation didn't sit well with eyewitnesses, including pilots, police officers, and even the governor of Arizona himself. In a bizarre twist, then Governor Fife Symington initially mocked the sightings, but years later he admitted that he too had seen the craft and believed it was otherworldly. To this day, the Phoenix Lights remain one of the most massive and compelling UFO sightings ever recorded. Were they a secret military experiment, an extraterrestrial flyover, or something far more mysterious? Whatever the truth is, it's been kept in the dark, just like the sky that night. The O'Hare Airport sighting. It was just another busy afternoon at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, until air traffic controllers, pilots, and ground crew all witnessed something that defied logic. Hovering just above Gate C-17 in broad daylight was a perfectly round metallic disc silently spinning in place. No wings, no visible propulsion, just an eerie, hovering craft that shouldn't have been there. For nearly 5 minutes, stunned airport employees and passengers watched in disbelief as the object remained motionless, defying the strong winds that should have sent it tumbling. Then, in an instant, it shot straight up through the clouds, so fast it punched a hole through them, leaving a gaping circular gap. United Airlines employees frantically reported the sighting to the FAA, but strangely, no radar data could confirm the object's presence. The FAA dismissed the event, claiming it was simply a weather phenomenon, but the witnesses weren't buying it. Experienced pilots and aviation staff, people who knew the skies better than anyone, were adamant this was not a reflection, a plane, or anything they had ever seen before. Even more suspicious, United Airlines ordered its employees to keep quiet and no official investigation was ever launched. But leaked reports made their way to the public, turning the O'Hare Airport sighting into one of the most credible UFO encounters in modern history. So what really hovered over one of the world's busiest airports that day? A top-secret craft? An extraterrestrial visitor? Or something else entirely? Whatever it was, it left in a way no human-made machine ever could. The Stephenville Sightings. Picture a quiet evening in Stephenville, Texas, a small town where the biggest excitement usually comes from Friday night football. But on January 8, 2008, the town became the center of one of the most baffling UFO sightings in modern history. It started as a series of bright, white lights stretching across the sky, moving in absolute silence. But what happened next sent chills down the spines of hundreds of witnesses, including experienced pilots, local law enforcement, and even a county constable. The lights reconfigured into a massive, mile-wide craft, moving at impossible speeds, zigzagging through the air before vanishing without a sound. Some described it as larger than a football field, flying low enough to see its structure. Others saw it outrun fighter jets that appeared to be in pursuit. The U.S. Air Force initially denied having any planes in the area, but just days later they changed their story, claiming that 10 fighter jets were conducting a training exercise. But that explanation didn't match what the witnesses saw. A craft so enormous, so fast, and so utterly unlike anything known to mankind. Radar data later confirmed that an unidentified object had indeed been in the area, traveling at speeds no known aircraft could achieve. The government, as expected, brushed it off. But the people of Stephenville knew what they saw, and it wasn't just military jets. To this day, the Stephenville sightings remain one of the most well-documented and chilling UFO encounters in history. A secret experiment, an alien craft, or something even stranger. Whatever flew over Texas that night, it was beyond anything we've ever seen before. So what do you think? Are these just misidentified objects, secret military experiments, or actual proof that we're not alone? The truth is still out there waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the unexplained, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to InnoVision Tech for more mind-blowing mysteries and futuristic discoveries. And let us know in the comments, which of these UFO sightings do you think is the most convincing?